the rainforest through that area. Hey, we're lacking one climatic type, and that's the bee. The bee climates are generally the semi-arid and arid climates of planet Earth. Semi-arid and arid. Typically, but don't take this to the bank. Typically, if an area receives less than 12 inches of rain, it would fall into this category. Per year. 12 inches of rain per year. Now, typically, if it receives less than 12 inches, it's semi-arid or arid. However, temperature plays a part in this. If you have extremely low temps, then this would not be arid. So up in Iceland, any idea what kind of precip they have in Iceland? Very low, less than inch and a half, 2 inches of precip in Iceland. But it's not considered semi-arid. Because to be considered semi-arid and arid, evaporation must be greater than precipitation. So the evaporation from the surface must be greater than precipitation. So they have 1.5 inches of precip. Their evaporation may only be half an inch. So it's not a dry environment. So to be a dry environment, evaporation, actually, let's strike the word, let's backtrack just a second. Potential evaporation is greater than precip. Potential. Put in the word potential. Because you can't evaporate more than what you have. So potential evaporation is greater than the amount of precip. Okay, Köppen then went about and used this system and found out that there were problems with it, issues with it, and so he figured he had to improve upon this system. So he modified the system somewhat because vegetation changed, and he said, well, let's see, we've got to do something with this. So as you can see, he subdivided all of these things. The tropical humid climates over there, the A climates, he subdivided into 3 categories. And he subdivided those into 3 categories because of differences in vegetation. Köppen was truly a biologist more than he was a climatologist. So that was his passion, and that's what he used to do this. Okay, so what differences do we have in the A? Again, the A climates are which climates? Temperature is always above 64 for the coolest month. So in all of these A climates, frost-free, no frost, no real winter. In the tropical monsoon and the tropical savanna, the winter really is a dry season. But let's look at the rainforest. What can you tell me about rainforest? A lot of water, okay, I'll buy that. But not an extreme amount. Rainforest is typically about 80 to 150 inches of rain per year. I mean, that's a fair amount of precip. Temperatures in the rainforest environment average mid-70s to low 80s, depending on where you are. The average monthly temperature is almost a straight line in the rainforest. So if you're trying to figure out if it's summer, winter, spring, or fall, it's a straight line. It's hot. It's humid. It doesn't change. It's oppressive. It's a condition that as soon as you walk outside, you are an instant sweat ball. Regardless of what deodorant or antiperspirant you put in, you sweat. And if you're one of these individuals with sensitive skin, you have diaper rash over your entire body. You are going to be suffering greatly. Why people live there, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, typically the seasonal variation between the warmest and coolest month is in a neighborhood of less than 2.5 degrees. So if your temperature range is less than about 2.5 degrees in the rainforest. there is a greater range of temperature on a daily basis. Night temperatures may drop into the 60s. Daytime temperatures may go up into the upper 80s or 90s. 60s to 90s. Daily temperatures. Diurnal temperatures. That was your question? Oh, rainforest. We're still in the rainforest. So in the rainforest, you have greater daily range of temps than you have seasonal range. We can't say that here. We go from 70 to 19. We go 51 degrees between our seasons. Daily, we'll go maybe 25 to 30 degrees. So your daily range is rather significant. This area has convectional showers throughout the year. In this region, we can anticipate afternoon showers almost on a daily basis. The afternoon showers on a daily basis. And the reason for that is the air is so moist, thermals rise, it precipitates around 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon, clears off. That's a typical precipitation pattern. Remember, this is in which pressure zone? It's in the ITC, the doldrums, the intertropical convergence zone, the equatorial low. So winds here are very light, very sporadic. So if you expect to get a lot of relief because air is moving about, it's not going to happen. Vegetation in this area is rather unique. When we talk about vegetation in this area, we have to talk about various layers of vegetation. In a mature rainforest, there is virtually no understory. What I mean by this is you have the big trees, but down here you have nothing. It's like being in a pine forest, mature pine forest. You have the big pines, you have nothing underneath. And the reason for that is lack of sunlight. The upper stories, the canopy, literally does not allow light to filter down in. Unfortunately, there are very few true mature rainforest areas. They have been harvested for the timber, and they've been harvested more than for the timber just to provide agricultural settings for folks. They go in and burn this timber and convert it to agricultural land. And literally, it's the worst thing you can do in the rainforest. The soils here are poor. The soils are lateritic, meaning that when exposed to sunlight, they'll bake as hard as clay. There are very little nutrients in the soil. And the reason the nutrients are lacking, the trees take it up, and the precipitation leaches it out. Leaches means that it literally washes it out of the soil. So you have plants extracting it, and you have rainfall taking the nutrients out. If the area has been disrupted, then vegetation grows in mass. It's a jungle-like environment initially. So if you think of a rainforest of having all this jungle-like vegetation, it's an immature rainforest. Because in a mature rainforest, you don't have the understory. All you've got is what's above it. So if you don't have an understory, what's your animal population like? Non-existent or almost non-existent, or where would they be located? In the trees. So your animals are not going to be on the floor. I mean, you have a few reptiles, a few snakes, a few amphibians, maybe a cat or two wandering through. But basically, it's not a lush area for animals. It's in the immature rainforest area that you have the animals, because there you have the vegetation. Okay, so tropical rainforest, the AF climate. Mature forest, dense canopy, nothing underneath. Oh, by the way, what are epiphytes? Who's had a botany class? Botany class? Botany class, botany class, botany class, botany class. Botany? I've read it. And if you were asked a geography question in your next class, none of you would claim to have had a geography. Epiphytes. Okay, we'll give you a clue. Orchids are epiphytes.
Flowers?
Yeah. They're a plant, but what kind of plant? Epiphytes basically means air plants, and these plants attach themselves literally to the outside of a tree, and they gain their nutrients, not from the tree bark, but from the atmosphere. Plants use what substance to the greatest degree for growth? Carbon dioxide. And they're getting that from the atmosphere. They're not extracting it from the trees, they're extracting it from the atmosphere, and your epiphytes then are basically air plants. That's the Greek extraction of epiphyte. And with that happy note, we'll see you next week. Here's a suggestion. Look over your notes because you may have a surprise on Thursday.